Evening and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. There are agendas on the table in the back near the entrance or online at the city's website. Consent agendas are routine items which are voted on in one motion and vote. Unfinished business or new business items are voted on separately. Councilors will be given the opportunity for questions or for comments, followed by citizens who must speak at the podium, identify themselves. Citizens will be allowed to speak one time per agenda item for up to 3 minutes. Citizens who wish to speak on a topic that does not appear on tonight's agenda will have the opportunity to do so during public comment section, and that will be for up to 3 minutes. All right. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Moving on to disclosure of conflict of interest. If any counselor has any conflicts of interest on any of the votes they might take tonight, now is the time to make that known. All right. Seeing none, we're on to presentations. Quarter two. Patty, you want to, I guess, yeah, you're good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You should have all got a copy of the most recent financial reports in your packets. My name is Christina Tarian, and I am the Finance Director for the city.
Thank you. Well, I'm in City Hall, but I don't know everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And just reading from the memo with a summary. The financial reports provide the second quarter account positions for fiscal year 24 on all general fund accounts. This memo provides a summary why some accounts show a greater than 5% variance from the expected 50% expended through December 31st. The majority of the accounts have leveled off during the mid-year period and are remarkably close to the 50% overall. The human resource revenue shows 139%, but that is due to an exceedingly small revenue line and receiving a unbudgeted revenue of $391. So the total revenue for that account is like $1,391, but because they've received the 1,000 and then they got that boost, it appears out of line. The Parks and Recreation revenue reflect a similar issue due to the Quarry Road activity being included in the Parks and Recreational budget. Last year, they continued with the agreement that they would give to the city part of the director's wages that were not equal to the revenues made yet. And so they brought in a check for $17,500 toward that wage. But it was after the year closed and everything had been reconciled, so it was rung into this year's revenue. So it gives an inflated look at what's been taken in year to date. The non-operational expenses are subject to the due dates of other payments. So there is a greater payment burden for these expenses in this first 6 months. So if you look at the reporting on those, a lot of bond payments, those type of things get paid in the fall, so it's not going to hit that 50% mark. It's going to sometimes look at 65 or 70, and that doesn't mean we'll run short by the end of the year. It just means that's the payment schedule for those items. You may also notice that the full use of the undesignated fund balances shows as being transferred. We always transfer that because it's part of the commitment. However, whatever is not utilized would then be transferred back or return to the general fund. So you will actually only utilize what you don't make in excessive revenue, well, I shouldn't say extra revenues, and what you have left in any reduction of expenses. And so if you have any other questions when you get a chance to look at the documents, I'd be happy to answer them for you. Any comments or?
Any councilors have any questions with regard to the report? No, I say it every time you present it. It's a fantastic report. I love it, the fact that it's very concise and there's multiple, it's great, great job. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that the council is happy with it. And I'm glad to be able to come and present the end of every quarter to keep you updated, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Brian, city manager report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Policy updates. Priority in our office over the last number of months has been updating and reviewing our policies. In the last just few months, we have created or updated new policies addressing acceptable vehicle use for city staff, social media policy for authorized users, civic ready mass notification procedures process, video surveillance, and IT acceptable use, which you'll see this evening. We'll continue this effort to ensure all of our policies and procedures are up to date and address the issues of 2024 and into the future. This will also be on our agenda this evening, but the solar ordinance review is ongoing at the planning board. They are making progress in reviewing and updating our solar ordinance. We anticipate having this back before the city council probably in early March, late February, early March, and their work will propose a number of important considerations as we've seen greater solar development in our community. Grant work. This has been another priority and emphasis in our office with city staff. We're currently working on grant research or applications in the following areas: Economic Development Administration grant to fund potentially public works projects and the road into the Corey Road Trails venue, a recreational trails program grant with the state to assist in the reconstruction of the Pine Ridge Trails after the solar project there, congressionally directed spending CDS funds to potentially assist in downtown vision projects funding. And we're also looking at a couple different grants to fund the Pine Grove Chapel restoration in the next couple of years. We're also working on a HUD Technical Assistance Program grant that may open up some other doors for us. So more to come there, but there are a whole lot of opportunities out there with grants, and we want to make a greater effort to go out and grab as many as we can. We're working with the developers at the Lockwood Mill on a potential hopeful sign. You've seen these in other communities around the state. There's interest from the developer there, as well as the artist and Waterville Creates, to have what would be the state's largest hopeful sign on top of that building. It would kind of be situated on the building, so when you go down Main Street, it would be visible up and down the street. So there is a meeting coming up to talk about fundraising. This will be all private dollars raised to do this. And as I said, the developers of the Lockwood Mill are very interested in partnering to make this happen. So more to come on that, but it could be an exciting project to sort of cap off the redevelopment project there at the Lockwood. My next city manager's open office hours will be February 26th from 3:30 to 5:30. Our location there is still to be announced. I will say, though, today we were able to book the Muskie Center in the South End for our March session. So more to come on that. We'll be in the South End in March, and stay tuned for our location for this month, February 26th. The Historic Preservation Committee and city staff, Michael, have been hard at work on that committee with our proposed historic preservation ordinance. A lot of good work has gone into it. It should be ready for council consideration early March, and this will help us get to the certified local government status that we've been trying to attain, and this will, of course, help us with accessing grant funds through that also. That opens up some doors for us. So some really great work there happening on that committee. They're making some good progress, and we look forward to having that proposed ordinance here at the council in early March. I'd like to take a quick moment to welcome a new local business, Swish Indoor Golf at the Hathaway Creative Center. Has recently opened or will be very soon, so we want to welcome them to that building and to our downtown community. We always like welcoming local businesses into our downtown, and we wish them many years of good success, good business in the future, so welcome to them. Lastly, just a reminder that our city mass notification system is still available for enrollment. Please go to waterville-me.myfreealerts.com to sign up. Lots of good information there, lots of different categories you can sign up for on particular information they're interested in. So we're encouraging everyone to sign up. At last count, we have now over 400 signed up there, and that's just in the last few months. So I think pretty good so far, and we will keep promoting this. So thank you.
All right, counselor comments, committee reports?
Give me more, I got.
Tom?
Apparently, there's a fundraising going on at the Waterville Soup Kitchen. They're only asking a $100 donation per individual or couple. Doreen and Bruce White are matching the first 10, 100 for 100. And then the second group that'll be matching will be Colby College. They'll match the second 10, 100 for 100. So let's see if we can help where we can.
Fantastic, thank you. Any other counselor comments or committee reports this evening?
Yeah,
John?
so the Community Resilience Committee met today, and we finalized our submission for Community Resilience Partnership Community Action Grant. I had reported on this previously. Initially, we had planned on submitting the grant for heat pumps in the hall school, which was projected to be about 35 grand. The grant is for $50,000, and then we were going to make up the balance with some trees and some charging stations. However, after we got a proper bid on the job, it turns out that there is some 3-cycle electrical work that needs to be done. So the total cost of installing the 6 heat pumps at the hall school is going to be about $54,000, and that will preclude anything else on this grant. But the grant looks good, and we're hoping to send it off before the end of the month. So that's that. And on the agenda is a number of other grants that we're going to be looking at coming down the line, some state and federal grants that should come open in the coming months. So I'll keep you updated on the progress in that committee.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes.
Okay. So I just want to acknowledge that it is Black History Month. So I just wanted to just open up the meeting, our first meeting of the month with that.
Fantastic. Okay. Good. All right, moving on to public comments. So this is a section where the public can get to come up and speak. It's going to look a little different tonight. It's public comment, not public discussion. So you're going to come up and make your comment. The city council is not going to address you or ask questions, or there's not going to be a back and forth. It's an opportunity for you to come and make your comment. We are going to stick to the 3-minute rule. I do have the timer here, and I will give you an idea as to when, but 30 seconds when you'll be up, and just to kind of give you an opportunity to kind of wrap it up. So with that, any public comments? Sir.
Sorry about the bag of tricks, and I will explain before I pass it for. And please do not touch any item that's in here, for the simple fact, luckily, like the undischarged bullet, I had my gloves.
Okay.
My name's Bart Ferminick, longtime resident of this town, born and brought up here, Ward 6 that I now live in. I'm just appalled at the trash I'm finding, like a discarded needle that isn't even used. This city can do better. We all know this. And as I was mentioning, people heard me, community. Look at the word community, and if you know grammar and so forth, thank God for my English teacher, senior year. Root word, simple one is gospel, God spell. I can't make this up. I've had good teachers, I've had good curriculum. This town can do better. We're still a small town, city, whatever. We can do better, and it isn't all Colby. I love Colby, don't get me wrong, I love the arts. I lived in Portland. You can't get much more cultural than Portland, Maine. I lived there 6 years when I went to school. I went to college. I matriculated 2 more years because 13 years in the system, I just wanted out. But, you know, you're young, you want to do whatever. I'm going to pass everything out. Please don't touch, just observe. There is a Johnson & Johnson white box, probably for bandages. You know, if you did coke or whatever, you know what's in there to do lines. I'm not making this up. I found it over probably behind the old Firestone. That's a shortcut for me, from Silver to my home. The UU Church is over in that neighborhood, if you're not familiar with Waterville. Born and brought up here. I delivered mail for 5 years. It was like old home week. I got to know all my city streets again. I can't make this up. I'm passing it out. It's that box, it's that unused needle, it's that bullet that wasn't discharged. I found that bullet on the day of Lewiston's shooting. Come on. What if a child found that and brought it to a gun that it fit? Come on. And I'm sorry to be so upset. The last thing I found is a spent shotgun shell. Isn't there laws against discharge of a shotgun?
30 seconds.
Sorry. Yeah, I ride. It used to be the Webb Road, Oakland. The signs were there. Discharge of firearms is illegal. I wish I was making this up. What I'm focusing on is I want a safety committee. I first would like to meet with Esler and our new chief. I want to know protocol for emergency response because we had a bad storm right before Christmas. And I tell you what, I was disappointed with response. Pleasant Street was shut off, the lines could have been live, and people were moving cones and driving through.
I appreciate the comment. Thank you, Bart.
And like I said, sorry it wasn't on agenda, thank you.
You're good. Next, anyone else?
Nancy Sanford, Ward 1, and I have a concern of something that's been happening to me, and I assume I'm not the only one this winter, and it's more pronounced this winter than in past years, at least in my reality, is that when I'm driving, and Rebecca, several months ago, you said that nobody goes 25 miles an hour around town. I most often do, thankfully, because any number of times and any number of places, there have been people after dark in dark clothing, you know, like out in the street. One time I was going home and I was going down Tyconic Street, and there was a car parked on the wrong side of the road, and there was a woman talking to whoever was in the car from the roadside, and as I approached, there was a small child in there, and it's just been in the main street. One time somebody darted out from a line of cars, and so I just was hoping that there might be some sort of way to do a public service announcement to just remind people to, if you're going to be out there after dark, wear some, you know, fluorescent something or other, because I've come really close, and thankfully, I've been going very slowly. So that's.
People should obey the 25.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Anyone else? Sir?
My name is Steve Crate from Ward 5. I live on Norman Street. I just had a question about, I recently saw a budget, and I saw a line item for an assistant town manager or assistant city manager, and I wondered what we need an assistant for in such a small community. I have a master's degree in public administration, so I'm very familiar with all of the possibilities. It seems to me that's a line item that does not need to be there. But I certainly welcome conversation and someone explaining why that line item is there.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, we have two folks online that have
Two
their
folks
hands
online.
raised.
Okay.
I've just brought in Diane Weinstein.
Okay. Evening, Diane.
Hello, everybody. I'm obviously coming to you through remote access, and what I'd like to do is speak. I think it's an issue that's coming before council as old business, but in your last council meeting, you were reviewing current practices regarding public participation, and I wanted to talk about my recommendations and concerns. I'm going to speak about two issues. One, limiting public comments to 15 minutes, and the other, voluntary or required remote access via webinar. I have 5 points to make why I'm opposed to limiting public comments to 15 minutes. One, while council members are elected to represent us, they're not elected to close down public debate, which is what happens when we have public comments. Two, democracy is messy. It is contentious. And city councils are very important places where we have public discourse. Three, since my attendance at council meetings, whether in person or by webinar, the 3-minute rule in the past was rarely applied, and the few times used, it was not equitably applied. There was an element, kind of an element of favoritism, or at times people were asked questions or comments after a public member made a comment. If the 3-minute rule is applied fairly, this is my fourth point, this could potentially limit citizen input to 5 persons. And how do you select which 5 people? Is there going to be a lottery system or other strategy? Number 5, it is common during the period of citizen input that the mayor or other people make comments and to defend their own position or to make a new idea. And are you going to be subtracting the comments that city council members make? Are you going to give the other person more than 3 minutes afterwards? So it would be very messy and hard to be consistent.
30 seconds, Diane.
My next point is voluntary or required remote access. I think remote access allows wider citizen participation because of its convenience, eliminates transportation barriers, allows people with childcare or elder care to participate, provides reasonable accommodations for people with a variety of disabilities, comports with the Rehabilitation Act and Americans with Disabilities Act, facilitates communication by people who prefer to not drive at night, broadens communication to council actions for interested parties who may not be local, and allows council members and community members, both equally when they're out of town or sick, to participate.
Thank you, Diane.
And
I apologize.
We back online in a few minutes.
My apologies.
Or should take notes.
Now we have Representative Bruce White.
Good evening, Bruce. You're on mute, sir.
There we go.
There we go.
Sorry, a bit of a glare. Thank you, and I want to thank my counselor, Tom McCormick, for announcing the $100 club for the Waterville Area Soup Kitchen. And I know Amy Calder wrote a great article recently. And then just yesterday, Kudichi Lawrence from WABI also did a segment. And, you know, it was I've been going over to the soup kitchen, you know, since they opened. And I can see that there's more and more guests there. Obviously, they just expanded and did the warming center after the lunches are served. They open it earlier in the morning, so obviously their expenses have increased. So I just I encourage the council to just support them in any way you can, and I know you have with opera funds and things. So thank you for doing that, and I just, you know, I know the community appreciates it. They obviously, I think you know, their budget is around $15,000 or $16,000 a month. They're trying to get 1,800 of these $100 donations. My wife Doreen and I decided to do the matching for the first 10, and it was overwhelming support. Within a few hours, we had 10. I was able to find that second donor, and I'm working on a third one. So please encourage people to give. I mean, it's your $100 turns into $200, which is you know, great for all of us, you know. So thank you for those that have already given and those that may be able to do it. And I guess I'll leave it at that. I would like to say thank you to Diane for encouraging the remote access. I will say I got home from Augusta late today. I, you know, connected to the city website. It said register. It was really smooth. I like the process that you have to put in your address, your phone number. So it seems like a good process. So thank you for making that available. And it is very helpful. If I was stuck in Augusta right now, or somebody's out of town and they have something they want to talk about, an agenda item, it's obviously very helpful. So thank you for continuing that in any way that you can. And that's it. Appreciate all your work behind all of you.
Thank you, Bruce. Anyone else? Sir.
My name is Greg O'Coin from Ward 1. First thing I want to, well, I can't ask, I guess, but we haven't had any minutes to these meetings posted since August. I'm seeing the agendas, but I'm not seeing the minutes to these meetings posted since August 15th, I think is the last one I saw. A little disappointing. The second comment I want to make is I've had discussions with previous Mayor Jay, Councilor Green, Mr. McCormick and I had a discussion. We have a city park in the concourse, which the past 3 or 4 years I've been told is going to be handed back over to the city. We have a dining ordinance here where we give people the sidewalk to. Every entity has complied to our November 1st deadline. This establishment wants to keep a fence around the park, which I find ugly, but neither here nor there. This park belongs to the city of Waterville, the citizens of Waterville. And the last comment I want to make to you guys is, I am appalled at the way that you handle the church and shut them down, for wanting to tear down their own building. They bought that building. It was rezoned months before. You're giving them a hard time over wanting to tear down something that they own. I'm ashamed. I'm very ashamed. I hope we can do something about it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else online, Patty? Need me to jump on?
No, that's it.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
Move to adopt.
Any discussion? Seeing none, can I get a roll call?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
Voted 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Can I get a counselor to entertain a motion to read the agenda by title only, please?
Read title by only?
Second?
Thank you. Roll call, Patty?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, moving on to old business, Order 25, 2024.
Approve land exchange between the City of Waterville and Mulch Farmers North LLC.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Any discussion? This is a second reading for this, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Seeing none, can I get a roll call, Patty, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Excellent. All right, moving on to Resolution 27, 2024.
27. Approval of City Council rules and order of procedure.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, I will open this up to the floor or to the council for comment.
I do have an amendment on this item.
Perfect.
I move to amend sections 1 to 11 of the resolution to add the underlined language and delete the lined out language of the resolution.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to have discussion on that, or do you want to just
We can
put it on the
absolutely
floor?
have
Expand on what we're
We
amending.
can
What-
absolutely.
Yeah, so this was a recommendation of our attorney to separate out the final section, Section 12, for consideration at a later date. We need to have a public hearing on that, which is the remote meeting policy. So that motion will amend this resolution to consider just sections 1 to 11 tonight, and then we'll take up section 12 at our next meeting.
Any discussion on the amendment, Council Finch?
So I'm going to vote this through, but I am then going to make an amended motion on the public comment section. And I'll wait to talk about that until after this.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, so we need to vote on that.
Need to vote on the amendment.
On the amendment.
Yep, putting the amendment
Roll
on the
call.
floor, the amended version. Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes,
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed. Can we move it as amended now?
so moved.
Second?
So is this where Patty, is this where I make my motion?
You
Okay.
can now put another motion on the floor if you'd
Okay,
like.
so my motion is to amend Section 10, Part A, the general public comment section, and to remove the words in the second paragraph, "at the council's discretion." It's the third to last sentence.
I second the motion.
Got it?
So, just to clarify then, the language would, this would remove, this would mean that the public comment period would resume at the end of the regular council business. It would not be at the discretion of the council. It would happen automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for clarification.
Discussion on the amendment. Council Klepak?
Could Counselor Finch expound upon his rationale, please?
Sure. My rationale is that anyone who shows up to participate in their own democracy should be allowed to do so, and they should not be held to an arbitrary 15-minute time limit. If they're the 7th person who signs up to speak, they should be allowed to speak, whether it's at the beginning of the meeting or the end of the meeting. They have a right to petition their government.
I agree completely. This is an opportunity for, the people that voted us into these seats to be able to participate in our government. They shouldn't be restrained in doing so.
I also agree.
So I'm wondering whether we really want to stop the public comment and then resume at the end of the meeting, or just not have a limit to the public comment. It seems a little, it seems like another way to cut off discussion, and it means that the 7th person has to wait till the end of the meeting to make their comment. So basically, I agree that we should allow people to say what they have to say within 3 minutes, because we do want everyone to have an opportunity, and we want to be fair. So I'd be interested in knowing how other counselors feel about this, whether you want to keep it at the end of the meeting or allow it to happen all at once. The other option, of course, that we would have is to put public comment at the end of the meeting.
We've got a situation where the original intent of this was to expedite getting the city's business out of the way in case there is a hot button topic. We're giving the first 5 people that sign up, and then apparently and for those that don't know, we are going to be asking for your name, a phone number, a way we can get back with you to let you know we're not just blowing you off. We are trying to address the issues. Okay. So follow through.
Thank you.
If we have a hot button item or something, budget's coming up, everybody's going to want to be here for budget. It gives us the chance to get through the business that we need to take care of, and everybody else, yes, it's an inconvenience to the population, but we're here too. We've all got things we want to get done. We've all got things we want to get done. So to have it expanded to the end of the meeting so that we can get the other little bits out of the way, or we may have more than one hot button item that needs to be addressed. That's the idea we had behind going to the end of the meeting. And for Rian to ask that we just take the counselor's discretion out, it just implies we're going to be doing this. We're not shrugging it off. We're not going to say no when we run out the door. We don't want to listen to you. That's the intent. Everybody's going to get their chance. You may not be the first, and you may not be the last, but you will be given your opportunity. And we will patiently, as you saw tonight, we patiently sat here, we listened, we did not make comment. Part of the idea is for us not to get into just drag something out and not get anything done. Give the first 5 people that sign up their chance. After it's all said and done, everybody's getting a chance. Everybody may not like it, but it's not, unless they can come up with a better way. This is what we have put together right now.
Okay.
Can I just make a quick comment? What you just said, Dave, sorry.
Bart, hold on one second, okay? Let the council finish, and then, and then, absolutely, yeah. Anyone else?
I think Leapak wants to say something.
Tom?
Yeah, Councilor McCormick expressed my prevailing thought here, which was the original intent of this was to to make sure that people who have put the time into making sure that their business made it on the agenda for the city council are able to have that business expeditiously addressed. And so it is my personal preference that I am sensitive to and hear the arguments about making sure every person has their say, and am willing to let that go above counselors' discretion, although I do have a measure of faith in our discretion to be able to make a decision when fruitful conversation and not fruitful conversation is happening. However, I oppose putting all of that public comment ahead of agenda items. I think that if we're going to do this, 15 minutes is a reasonable amount of time so that people who don't want to stay for the entirety of the meeting can get up, and that there is an opportunity for those people to get up and speak. However, if there's a deluge of citizens that want to talk and they feel passionately enough that they can allow the council to do its important work, its important business with various stakeholders who show up for that business, and then they can continue the conversation after all the other agenda items have been addressed. Otherwise, I'm going to oppose any motion to have a public comment section that has no boundaries on it at the beginning of the meeting.
I think that's a compromise.
I mean, I guess the only question that I have, Counselor, is, you made the comment if, somebody can't stay to the end of the meeting, but what if there are 6 people that can't stay to the end of the meeting? I mean, like, how do we draw that line? How do we pick which 5? Does it matter? Like, was there
those people are free to send emails to any of us at any point in time to communicate with us. If they can't stay or do not wish to stay to the end of the meeting, they can speak to us outside of regularly scheduled council hours. They can come to the next meeting. It's not that we're completely excluding these people from public discourse. It's at their convenience or inconvenience, right? I think 15 minutes, that's reasonable to me. I'm still going to be here for the whole thing, but I'm thinking about other people who have business before the council that may not have anything to do with some sort of discussion that's unfolding in public comments, but who would like their matters addressed in a timely manner as well.
Okay. Any other counselor comments? Any member of the public? Bart.
What I'm hearing, if I'm hearing correctly, I'm Bart Furman.
Please come to the podium.
No one's hearing you until you get to this mic, so yeah.
Sorry. I
Now you're good.
apologize.
You're good.
Clepac, I completely get what you're at, because you answered most of my questions. But what I am hearing is we need protocol and guidelines. What's the priority for what's more important than somebody else's topic? Am I not hearing correctly? Is there going to be priority? And it's just guidelines. I'm wondering, should there be guidelines? Is someone's topic more important than somebody else's? And if it is, that's fine. Go ahead of me. I will be like anybody else right to the end. Because what we're discussing here is so darn important. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I speak to that?
You certainly can.
I would say, you know, I don't think that we need to have a prescription for every single eventuality here. I think like public comity or you know, the collegiality of the council, et cetera, you know, people, whoever gets up in line, the first people in line, those are the people that get to speak. Maybe not everyone will take 3 minutes. There are quick comments. And then the people in line, you know, I would like to hope that a sense of neighborliness will say, oh, I can't stay to the end. Do you mind if I go ahead of you? That kind of thing. I don't think that this is something that we need to overly prescribe in terms of our protocol here.
Nancy.
Nancy Sanford, Ward 1. Just a question. When we sign up, do we have to put the topic? Because I don't know, when Bart said, you know, if something's more important, somebody's topic is more important than somebody else's. Who's to judge that? So my question is are we just signing up with our name and whatever else, and then talk about whatever it is that we want to talk about?
It's a good question. I don't think it's one that's, the form's not there. We don't have a form yet, so that's a great question. So we will have that conversation and we'll figure it out.
Until we get the bugs worked out of this, first come, first serve.
Yeah.
If you're the first guy, if you're the first person through the door, you got something you want to discuss, or you want to make a comment on, you're just the first name on the list. You're first to go.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Because in this situation, we're here to listen. So everybody's issue is hot and important to them.
Right. So I would oppose us having to put whatever topic is that we want to. That seems.
I think the thing for the sign up is so that if there's a topic worth discussing, one of the city councils can reach out to, you know, whomever's in their ward for a follow up. That's my understanding.
Yeah, you understood me correctly.
Okay.
Like an agenda, so to speak.
Thank you.
I understood the issue of priority to have to do with the items on the agenda, right? Because we also want to respect that. People, there are items that have come onto the agenda and in a, you know, in a manner that's what we're talking about tonight. So we need to respect that. And for that reason, I'm agreeing to the idea that we have 15 minutes of public comment, and then if there are still more people that want to speak, we hear them at the end of the meeting.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Anyone else from the public? Okay.
Yes, I have a hand raised.
Hand raised.
Diane Weinstein.
Okay. Good evening, Diane.
Hello again. As you know, I did speak to this topic earlier, but I am opposed to limiting the public comment session, public comments to 15 minutes, and to the bifurcated approach where the 15 minutes at the beginning and then at the end, as ever long as it takes. Again, here I am, I had my hand raised, so if you had 5 people, or let's say you had 7 people in the audience who were there in person, does that mean anyone who is now, such as I am, there by remote access, are we not going to be counted in the 5? And then if you have someone who has a disability, that would mean you might be in non-compliance with someone who can't be there in person. So you're breaking ADA or the Section 504 of the Rehab Act. So you don't want people to have to publicly say, oh, by the way, I have a disability. So you really need to attend to me by remote access. This way you wouldn't have to be intrusive in such a way. And there may be a couple of times a year where you may have, perhaps you might have an hour and a half of people on a variety of issues who have public comments before your other agenda. Again, you are elected to represent us, and this is the way that you find information from us. Tom Klepek, you mentioned sending emails. I sent in my email of comments to every single council member, city manager, and the mayor. I didn't have anybody respond to me on this issue, and you knew that it was coming up on your agenda. So what does that say in response to me as a citizen when I did make comments? Again, how often did you have a large number of people make public comments that went over 15 minutes? I think it was quite rare. I think when you all have your meetings, sometimes in advance, sometimes you don't even start your meeting at 7 o'clock if you have a special session before meetings. And so, again, I'm not sure the respect to the public is your priority in a situation like this. I really think
30 seconds, Diane.
I really think your bifurcated approach is very problematic and disrespects your citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to note also, just so it's not lost, that, Waterville is unique in that we also allow public comment on every single agenda item in between those public comment sessions, so the public still has an opportunity to comment and to come speak here on every single agenda item through the agenda. Most other cities out there, including previous ones I've worked for, there's one public comment session at the beginning or the end, and that's it. So, I think it's also important to know that we are keeping all of those other public comment periods in every single agenda item down the line. So there is an opportunity to comment on whatever it is that's important to you in the course of the meeting also.
Excellent, yeah, thank you. All right. Any other comments on the agenda, on the amendment? Kelly?
Hi, I'm Kelly Griffin from Ward 4, and I was going to kind of say what Brian was saying, that this is not a topic that nobody else in America does. There's city council meetings all over the country. It seems like there should be a best practice in place that maybe we could take from that would be agreeable to everyone. It just seems like there's a lot of discussion, like we're reinventing the wheel. It seems like there might be some process in place that would suit us like it suits many other city councils around the country.
Thank you. Anyone else before we take a roll call on the amendment? Seeing none. Patty, can we get a roll call on the
So just to clarify,
amendment? Thank
the
you,
amendment
please.
is to remove the language at the council's discretion.
Yes.
Council Gilly?
Yes.
Council DeBrito?
Yes. Yes.
Council Klepek?
Yeah, so for clarification, it's to remove the language about council's discretion, but this amendment is agnostic on whether we hold the extended conversation in one point in the beginning or in two portions at the beginning and the end of the meeting. Is that correct?
That is not part of this motion, that's correct.
Okay, thank you, yes.
Council Green?
Yes, I'm voting to remove at the council's discretion, which implies to me that we stop after 15, continue at the end, right? Yeah.
Council Finch?
Yes.
Council McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed. Can we move it as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Any other amendments on sections 1 through 11? Seeing none, Patty, can we get a roll call,
Okay, let me see.
please?
So, Counselor Lee, do we want to make the motion now to adopt sections 1 through
right.
11 and consider section 12 at the next meeting?
Yes. We need to address section 12 at the same time as we're considering the final adoption of sections 1 through 11. And if passed, that moves section 12 to the next meeting, and we'll be having a public hearing on the proposed amendments to the remote participation policy.
Does that require a motion from us?
Exactly as I
Yes.
stated it in the memo.
So I can read the motion if it's helpful.
Please.
Yeah, I have it too, Patty.
Move to adopt sections 1 through 11 as amended and postpone consideration of section 12 to the meeting of February 20, 2024.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Now we're ready for a roll call.
Are we ever? Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Excellent. All right, moving on to new business, Resolution 29, 2024.
1 second, I'm sorry. Authorize the renewal of a special amusement permit to Elm City 9 LLC doing business as the Lockwood Hotel, Front and Main.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone in the public? Seeing none, Patty, can we get a roll call?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Excellent. Moving on to Resolution 30, 2024.
Refer to the Planning Board zoning map amendment 218 College Avenue.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion from the council?
Is this in the zone where we had, I'm trying to think of the proper way of putting it. We rezoned College Avenue. Is this part of that, or?
Since our planner's here.
This particular piece is beyond the strip that you rezoned.
Yep.
And there was no particular reason why we stopped the rezoning where we did. It was just that there's more housing to the south of this piece.
Okay, I was of the impression it was all the way to the city line, not, okay.
Any comment here? Do we want?
I have one. I guess the one thing that concerns me a little bit is that it is quite far away from the end of the CC1 zone. Is that correct? So
That is correct.
it's
There's already housing in that particular property, and they're just wanting to bring it into conformance
Right.
with the zoning. The CC1 zone, as you know, allows housing.
Mm-hmm. And it's also true that there's a lot of other housing in that C1 zone.
Yes.
That is, right, grandfathered or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Are they here? Do they want to talk about? Yeah. Anything you want to say to the council at this point? Okay. Wonderful. All right. Can we get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Excellent. Moving on to Resolution 31, 2024.
Refer to the Planning Board zoning map amendment, 99 Webb Road.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
I will motion to table this until we have acted on the planning board's proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance as it relates to solar.
I'll second.
And I'll speak to that if I may.
You may.
My worry with sending this as it is now is that, well, first of all, it says right now that the planning board won't hear this until they fulfill their requirements. My worry is that in the council adopting a change to this, that we might do a change that is, what we pass is not in accordance with what is being asked for here, and we would have to claw this back from the planning board before we send it to them. I'd rather just have all of our ducks in a row. It sounds like that's gonna be happening in the next couple of weeks, and so if we could just hold off on this until we just have everything lined up the way it's supposed to be.
I hear what you're saying, like, so the purpose is, if we get this ball moving, it's in the planning board court, they won't hear it until they pass their thing. We went through, I sent an email this afternoon, kind of outlining the dates, so just, if we wait for this to come back, then he has to come back to refer it to get on to another meeting. If we push this and we say, hey, the planning board is going to get this, at the next meeting at the planning board, which is on Tuesday, they're going to send us the solar ordinance. We're going to look at it on the 20th for the first reading, and then the 5th or the 6th for the second reading, in which then they can turn around and do it. It saves about 2 weeks, for the applicant.
Yeah, but my concern is that I haven't seen this proposed solar zone, and I don't know that this is going to be in compliance with whatever solar zone we pass. So I understand that it cuts some time, but I'd just rather do it in the correct order.
Any other comments from the council? Leo?
I brought some maps. Would you like a map?
I don't
Need
need
a
a
map.
map.
So the proposed area is my property, and it's currently
Have a name, please.
Leo St. Peter.
Thank you, sir.
I have 2 solar farms, totaling about 60 acres on both sides of me. I'm in the airport, I'm next to the interstate. I have about 50 acres of land surrounded by, it's all fields surrounded by trees. No one sees me. I could burn all my brush and you wouldn't know for 20 minutes. And the city agreed and approved and built on their property 2 solar farms on both sides of me. And I'm like, whatever, but I'm surrounded by solar farms and interstate. So because I've been after this process that I'm in right here, right now, since late November, I've approached city officials to help me get the ball rolling. Every week that goes by, aspects of my life are put on hold. So I am very much willing with the solar people to, clearly, I'm gonna abide by anything the planning board does. I won't get a permit to do it. So I'm just asking we put this through, whatever the planning board comes up with, adopted regulations or changes, we'll adhere to get the permit. I don't see what the benefit of putting this off for 2 more weeks is, especially when the city has already allowed on their property, to their benefit, 2 solar farms on both sides of me, totaling 60 acres. Just want to get on with my life and make some progress, that's all. And I can tell you that my project is not going to impact the Webb Road watershed in any level that the 2 farms that were approved and built by the city did. Thank you.
Any other comments on the motion to table? Seeing none? Yep.
I just want to say this is not about this particular project. It's just a matter of process. It's just clearer that we pass the revisions and then hear and then refer the project. And 2 weeks doesn't sound like that long a period, so I'm in support of this.
May I?
You may.
So, what is the downside of us putting this through now if this landholder is going to still be beholden to the planning board recommendations?
Right.
I'm trying to understand why we should table now. I wasn't connecting the dots there very well.
I honestly, Counselor, I'm not seeing a reason to table, to delay, given the fact that they're not going to hear it until this council passes the solar ordinance that they're going to send to us. So, I mean, in theory, this would simply just speed up the process of having him have to come back once that is completed. So if it takes you 2 meetings to pass the solar ordinance, if there are tweaks that you need to make, because it's an ordinance, so it takes 2 readings for us. Again, it would just save him 2 weeks of having to come back and then get onto the planning board agenda. And I don't know how that works out. So it could be the end of April. He might not get on the planning board agenda at the beginning of May. So it's not a simple straight 2 weeks, depending on how our calendars line up.
Right, but again, my thing is that we haven't seen.
One second. Go ahead, Tom.
I would like to hear what DeBrito has to say, Councilor DeBrito.
No.
Well, let me.
Councilor Finch.
Again, we don't know what the amendments to the zoning ordinance is, and I'm just not comfortable sending something when we don't know what these amendments are. We don't know how those amendments could impact this request. My concern is that we pass an amendment to the zoning ordinance that's going to be in conflict with what's being requested here, and we're going to have to claw this back.
Okay. You are part of those discussions, correct?
Part of which discussions?
And the solar committee, are you?
No, this is from the planning board, and we haven't seen anything from them yet.
It's just messy. If we send something to the planning board, they can't do anything with it anyway until we approve this, so.
Is it saving the landowner here time or not? And is it going to have any real impact whether we send this now or later? That's what I want to know.
Andrew,
I'm sorry, I'm being thick-headed here.
No, not at all.
Okay, right now, Rian wants to table, he wants to read it before we send anything out. The planning board has said they're not even going to consider anything sent until after we send everything back ratified. So either way, all we're doing is saving him a couple of weeks, resubmit and all this other stuff. It's just going to sit there on the planning board's calendar, spinning a wheel until we've done our due diligence and the 2 readings, and then it helps him get on with what he's going to do whatever it says to do. It's just a question of sending something now or sending something later.
The
Right.
We
review
send
that'll
it
be done-
now, we send
It
it
seems
now,
to the
it's just gonna
sense of-
spin.
Yeah.
It's not,
I
it doesn't
understand.
matter,
Yeah.
either way.
The review that'll be done at the planning board will be done based on the new ordinance that's put in place, adopted by the council at whatever time that is. Yeah.
And this land, and the stakeholder here is gonna be beholden to that regardless.
Correct.
So all we're doing is saving this person 2 weeks or not.
Correct. Any other comments from the council? Mr. St. Peter?
I started this process back in November, emailing people, and there was some, we had no Ward 5 person because that guy moved. And so I'm waiting. And then, we had delays for whatever reason. I contacted Ann Beveridge for the planning board. I said, I gave her, the solar people gave her a plan, the proposed plan. And so the planning board's had this proposed plan and my desires to move forward for several weeks. And I'm not asking to break the law or create more runoff or do anything negative. I'm just saying, look, 2 weeks doesn't seem a lot to you, but we talked about how issues are important to people. Everyone's got their own issues. I like walnut trees. Boom, that's mine. And this is something I really want to do. So if it's not going to hurt the city, or it makes no sense to hold off for 2 weeks. No one's going to get hurt except me. And I don't need, I shouldn't have to explain my handicaps in life to say, let's just move forward. I'm going to have to, the solar project is going to have to amend itself to anything the planning board does that you guys approve. It just seems obstinate to make me wait for 2 more weeks. And guess what? I will. I got no choice, just like I don't have no choice with whatever the planning board does. So, do whatever you want to do. But it's going to reflect poorly if you're just going to make me wait just to make me wait. And I've done that to other people, so whatever.
All right. Ready for a roll call?
Can I have one quick comment?
Yes.
Very quick.
Thank you.
Very brief. Anytime.
Don't stop until you get to the mic.
Sorry. Yell at me, please. Bart again. Anytime there's a project, there's time involved. Why are we making this man wait? Did the city, when they did their little solar, no, they went and bulldozed and did nasty things over by the airport. I walk on a trail and I look at all that stuff, so I do see what's going on. Let's just get this guy's project going. Come on. Aren't we supposed to be for everybody? And we want businesses and whatever? And what's cleaner than solar? Enough said.
Thank you. Okay.
So the motion on the floor is to table.
Correct.
Are we ready for a roll call?
We certainly are.
Counselor Gilly?
No.
Counselor DeBrito?
Okay. Ugh. I'm going to vote no. Sorry.
Counselor Klepak?
Oh.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
No.
The vote is 2 in favor, 4 opposed. The motion fails. Is there a new motion? Shall we move to adopt now?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Ready for a roll call?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
So, okay, let me clarify. So we are sending it back to the planning board?
This is a motion to refer it to the planning board, correct?
Okay, yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
I'm going to vote no.
Counselor Finch?
No.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 4 in favor and 2 opposed.
Okay, moving on to ordinance 32, 2024.
Amend the licenses and permits ordinance.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
No, I
So
can't.
moved.
Motion to adopt. Motion to
Second.
adopt.
Thank you, Tom.
Second.
Thank you, Flavia. Okay. Okay, Patty, I know you did a bunch of work on this. Do you want to kind of kick us off here?
Yes, so over the past several months, there have been many meetings with myself, code enforcement, the fire department, some stakeholders within the community, some city councilors were invited to attend, the mayor, the city manager, discussing some vulnerabilities, if you will, in our licenses and permits ordinance. So several changes, a culmination of all those meetings is here. I apologize, it took me through the fall and early winter to get through it all. I hoped to do it last fall, but elections got in the way. So the proposed changes include a suspension and revocation of licenses, along with conditions to be imposed on licenses based on some issues that were realized over the past several years with certain businesses, and that was on the recommendation of Code and Fire, and based on what other communities around the state have in their ordinances. It prohibits mobile food vendors from all residential zones except RR. We had some concerns from citizens about mobile food vendors being in residential zones, and so that's a result of that. It requires an application for a special amusement permit to include the type of entertainment and the hours that it could be provided. That would allow the council to put some restrictions, if they wished, on those permits when they're issued. This allows outdoor dining applications to be submitted at the end of the current licensing year. So it moves that licensing time back, the application process, to allow for those businesses to plan appropriately for staffing and equipment and that sort of thing when they ramp up for the summer. It amends the provisions for adequate passage on sidewalks to be in compliance with guidelines provided by the DOT, which increase the sidewalk clearance for pedestrians from 3 feet to 4 feet. It clarifies that applications for outdoor dining, extended outdoor dining, retail, or entertainment use of city spaces be approved by the city council. And finally, we are proposing a change in the fee schedule to make some tiered license fees for victualers licenses, which is food preparation licenses, based on the amount of square footage, so that, you know, someone that's selling hot dogs at the Irving isn't paying the same fee as, you know, a 5,000 square foot restaurant for their license fee, which should be commensurate with what it costs the city to administer those type of licenses. It bases the liquor license fee on the class of liquor license being requested. So that would result in certain classes of liquor licenses to have a higher fee. So for example, if you have a restaurant that sells beer and wine with dinner, they would have a different fee than someone that is a restaurant lounge type of license that's open till 1 a.m. in the morning. So again, those fees would be commensurate with the response and the administration of those fees from the city.
Excellent, thank you. Fantastic. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. Any discussion amongst the council?
Here, we'll start.
Councilor Finch.
First of all, Patty, you did a great job with this. There was a lot of work that went into this, it's obvious.
Yeah.
I have a clarification question. I know last year and maybe the year before, there were food trucks at North Street. Would this, the way that this is written, prohibiting them from Res A, Res B, Res C, and Res D, mean that those food trucks could no longer operate at North Street?
No, actually, what regulates those mobile food licenses is a seasonal concession policy, an internal policy that we have with the Parks and Rec and Public Works Department. So we're going to be looking at, based again on meetings that we had with the mobile food vendor folks, at amending that seasonal concession policy because it allows for a seasonal permit at Head of Falls, which we, you know, when we initially proposed that, we weren't sure what the interest would be. We're finding, based on feedback from the mobile food vendors, that a whole season is a lot to commit to, and the fee was pretty high. So they would prefer to see maybe, weekly or monthly, maybe seasonal concession permits at those locations. And so I talked with the gentleman here this evening that's a mobile food vendor. We'll be getting together this spring to kind of finalize some of those changes and change that policy and see if we can make some amendments to that as well. But that, to answer your question, that's not part of this ordinance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Councilor Green.
So, one of the changes is amending the provision for adequate passage on any sidewalk to be in compliance with the current guidelines. Could you elaborate on that a little bit? What?
Yes. The requirements for adequate passage are regulated through the PROWAG, and I'm not really familiar with that. That's a code enforcement term.
Right.
But those are regulations at the federal level that allow for a minimum passage for pedestrians on public walkways. That had been previously set at 3 feet, but those guidelines were amended last year, I believe, and our ordinance specifically said a 3-foot passageway. So rather than put a specific number in our ordinance, we're going to refer to the PROWAG regulations so that we don't have to change it if those regulations change. We did notify the outdoor dining vendors of the change because it could impact how they set up in the season.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other council comments? Any member of the public wish to speak about the permits and licenses? Okay. Seeing none, can I get a roll call?
Councilor Gilly?
Yes.
Councilor DeBrito?
Yes.
Councilor Klepak?
Yes.
Councilor
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Councilor Finch?
Yes.
Councilor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay. And now we are moving on to Resolution 33, 2024.
Authorizing closure of a section of Silver Street for outdoor dining.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? And Patty, this is not anything new. We've been doing this for a few years now. This is just simply closing.
Yeah, this is the extended section of Silver Street that abuts downtown Main Street.
Okay.
And it's the same section being proposed to be closed where the guardrail is placed at the entrance to the concourse.
Sure.
It's a little different this year since Cancun isn't open and the last unicorn is no longer there. But it's not really possible to move up that barrier because folks could actually drive in and then be
Have to back
kind of
out.
landlocked, if you will. So we're going to keep it there, and with the vendors pay per square foot, so I assume Silver Street will have the same layout as they did last year, and perhaps, I don't know if another vendor might go into Cancun, or if 18 below would want to go into that space or whatever, but.
Okay. All right. Any member of the public want to speak about the closure of Silver Street? No.
Yes, hi, my name is Don Plourde. I own the property at 36 Silver Street, which also abuts this, and when she said the design would be the same, I had a little concern. As you know, I think the Paragon shop has moved out, and one of the interested parties that I have might be interested in having tables there. In previous years, Silver Street has brought the tables right up to the edge of the sidewalk, so there's no room there. I just wanted to know make sure that there would be some availability to be able to share space there.
So you talking about sharing space in the street?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that that could be worked out with, the owner of Silver Street Tavern.
Yeah,
I think they would be amenable to talking about that.
Okay.
They haven't made application yet. I'm really going on an assumption that they're going to want the same square footage.
Right.
But I can see if there's a few tables, at this new location, they could move it back or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure that that can be easily be worked out.
All right, I just want to make sure it wasn't something that was automatically going to be taken
Right.
care of.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Gonna have to put a
Thank you.
barrier in just to separate the street now?
No, I don't think we'll need to.
All right. Any other comments? Okay, Patty, can I get a roll call?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Klepak,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Finch,
No.
Counselor McCormick.
Yes.
The vote is 5 in favor and 1 opposed.
Okay, moving on to Resolution 34, 2024.
Authorizing closure of Merchants Way for outdoor dining.
Motion to adopt, please.
Motion to adopt.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, any council discussion?
Patty, is this the same as where the Jersey barriers were last year, or have they moved?
They have not moved. They'll be in the same location so that the traffic flow will allow for a turnaround on both ways. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other councilor comment? Any member of the public wish to speak about this closure? Jason? Yes.
My only issue is, sorry,
That's okay.
new to this.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. My only issue is, and maybe we can work with Parks and Recs and some of our neighbors on where the actual barrier is. There's been some discussion, heated at times, over where the barrier is placed, either to the, what would be the south of the crosswalk across from, by the way, I'm Jason from Holy Cannoli, for those of you that don't know. To the south of the crosswalk or the north of the crosswalk, closer towards the Lion's Den and the pub. I'm okay with working with our neighbors on that. I think we've worked it out internally anyway amongst neighbors. We all kind of get along down there. I just want to be sure that if the barrier is moved to what I would call the north of the crosswalk, which is directly across my rear entrance, I just want to be sure that has some notation that it's not a parking area. So what we've seen previously is the barriers have been moved, again, north of the crosswalk. But then it seems that either customers and or other business owners seem to use that as a parking spot. So I would just like to ensure that there's some way that we ensure that people are not parking in that area. And in speaking with Parks and Rec or Public Works, seems to be maybe we can erect a sign that says, you know, no parking or subject to a fine, similar to the other signs. That's my only issue really is where that barrier is. I think if we've worked it out with our neighbors, we've been pretty gracious to one another, and I'm all more than willing to move the barrier north of the crosswalk as long as we can just denote somehow that it's not a parking area for either their customers or my customers or other business owners around. That's the biggest concern I believe my wife and I have had previously is where that barrier is, whether it be.
I see what you're talking about on the map.
Yeah, I
The way
know.
the parking space and it
Yeah.
jets out, putting it right where it is, I can see where you might get
Right,
that
so last
spot.
year it was just to the north of that crosswalk. And then that kind of leaves this tiny little outlet where nobody could drive through or even turn around, but it seemed to become a real convenient spot for people to pull in, park, run in and grab their food, but they're still blocking the crosswalk, which is against city ordinance and state law. So I had asked to have it moved to the south of the crosswalk, so there was no option for you to even park there, because now all you had was an outlet into the parking lot.
Yep.
But with, you'd be amazed that with that tiny little space there that's probably 8 to 10 feet long, the people that just pull in there because they're just going to grab their takeout at Holy Cannoli or the Lion's Den or wherever, that little spot seems to be pretty contentious amongst us of, well, I'm only there for a minute, or but you're still blocking the crosswalk. And it's self-deprecating to our own businesses, because honestly, that's the only handicap access to that sidewalk on Merchants Way, which is directly across the rear of my business. So I would just ask that if we just be thoughtful of where those barriers go. Last year, we worked it out pretty much internally. I think we have some agreement of this year they could go to the north of the crosswalk, but I would just like to know that that would be enforced as a non-parking zone, and blocking crosswalks is just not cool anyway. So that's all I would ask. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Do you have a comment?
No, just no samples?
Okay. Okay. That's good. Okay, any other comment? Okay, Patty, can we get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay. Moving on to Resolution 35, 2024.
Authorizing closure of a section of Common Street for outdoor dining.
Motion to
Second.
adapt?
Thank you. Thank you. All right, any discussion on this closure?
So,
Oh, go ahead. Go. You go first.
well, so just to be clear, the closure we're talking about here is actually just removing a number of parking spaces? Is that right?
Yes, it's the same setup as last year. So it's removing, I think it's 3 or 4 parking spaces directly in front of the proper pig.
So will we be doing that on Main Street as well? Or has anyone asked for that?
No one has asked for that. I would assume that if, someone comes forward with plans, it'll come before the council and we could make that determination at that point.
So, may I?
You may. Thank you.
My concern, I've heard from constituents and others around the city that this not only eliminates a handicap parking spot, but it also it crosses the crosswalk and blocks the crosswalk. And I am just wondering if there's any way we could just make it smaller and preserve that crosswalk. I don't know if that's something we'd have to amend this map to do, or if we would have to have a conversation with the business, but.
I think it would be a conversation with Matt, where he's going to put the Jersey barrier.
I would say that it's a little more complicated than maybe what you've just said. And I think that's based on the fact that the business has purchased the tent and it's a specific size. And I think it has a few more seasons of use. So I would assume that they would want to use the same size tent. And, they've moved it a little this way and a little back that way. We moved it back a little bit so that the travel lane would be a little bit wider. There was some concern, that because it's, a little more heavily used maybe, that, to move it back. So that might be a little problematic, but that is a decision that the council makes.
I mean, I guess I would just strongly suggest that it move as far, which way is that, east as possible?
Towards the river?
Towards the river.
We can talk with the business owner about placement. I'll just also note there are 2 other crosswalks across the square, either end, obviously not in the middle, but city staff is happy to talk to the business owner about possible placement options.
Yeah, I think the big thing is there's a handicap spot like right next to that crosswalk. And so it's an accessibility. The concern that I got from constituents was it's an accessibility issue. But I think if we can just move that tent as far east as possible, that'll solve the concerns.
Can we also, if it does take up the handicap spot, can we put a temporary sign to make the next spot handicap accessible?
We do have portable handicap parking signs, so
that we
that's a
don't
possibility.
eliminate this parking spot?
We can work with Public Works on that.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? Any comments from the public? Any online? Good.
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, can we get a roll call, please, Patty?
Yes. Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay, moving along to Resolution 36, 2024.
Motion to adopt.
I'll read it first, I'm sorry. Approve the amended acceptable use policy.
Do you want
Move to
read that
adopt.
one, Tom?
No, no.
No? Well, we still need a motion, right? I'm just kidding. I'm reading.
No, I let her finish.
She is finished. Thank you.
I'll
Second.
Thank you. All right. Yes, Brian.
Just really quick, I just want to know, I mentioned updating policies in my report earlier. In the world of technology, this has not been updated since 2010. That's 14 years. And in the world of IT and technology, that is a very long time. So I just want to thank Joel Way, our IT supervisor, for helping get this updated and getting it back in front of us. This is long, long overdue. So thank you to him and the whole IT department for all that they do. And these are some good updates and very needed and very timely for 2024.
Okay.
And you have a memo in your packet outlining everything
Yeah.
contained in the document.
Any questions or comments from the council? Any from the public? Okay, how we use our devices? Okay. Patty, can I get a roll call?
Yes. Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Excellent. Moving on to Resolution 37, 2024.
Amending Resolution 18-2024 to change the date and location of the special municipal election for Ward 5 City Council.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Patty?
This is needed because I made a calculation error in the deadline date for caucuses. And once I discovered the error, the only way to correct it and make adequate time for the parties to caucus would be to move the election date to April 2nd. I would like to assure the public that there's no additional cost to the city. We'll do the election here in the annex. It's Ward 5 only, so it should be reasonable to accommodate that here. We will print the ballots in-house and hand count the results, which actually ends up saving the city money, because if we would piggyback the election with the March 5th primary, we would have to print the ballots through the vendor and program machines to accept the city ballots. So I apologize for my calculation error, and I would respectfully request you to move the date of the election.
No,
And
no
we're
need-
saving money.
What's that? Yeah.
And you're
That's
welcome.
true. No, that is great. We appreciate errors like that save us money. Like, that's
Right.
fantastic. And I don't think, listen, there's a lot of elections this year. There's a lot of moving dates. You read the charter and you got to count back this way. You've got to, spin the wheel 3 times. You got to, it's like playing to it. So I get it. Like, it can be made. So absolutely no worries there. Any other, Tom?
Have you got anybody working paperwork yet? Haven't heard any names or anything.
We've had one person qualify with a sufficient number of signatures, and we have 2 other individuals who've taken out nomination papers but have yet to return them.
Patty, if you just didn't want to run 2 elections at once, you could have just asked us. You didn't have to say you made a calculation
I just
error.
love elections. They're great.
That's awesome. Anyone in the public have any comment? Seeing none. Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay, moving on to Resolution 38, 2024.
Designate Main Service Center Coalition voting delegate, representative, and alternate.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
And I want to just highlight what this, Patty, is.
I'm sorry, what?
Do you want to highlight what this is, or
You
just
know, I
kind
mean,
of?
so Waterville is a member of the Maine Service Center Coalition, which is a group of service center communities throughout the state. The coalition advocates on behalf of service center communities to issues that are important to service centers, such as a local option sales tax or other things like that. This just names myself and the assistant city manager as the voting delegates in that organization, and we are the ones that interface with them on a routine basis for the organization.
Wonderful. Any comments? Okay. Patty, can I get a roll call?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right. We are done.
Move
Can I
to
get a
adjourn.
motion?
I was gonna,